The off-season. It used to be a time when professional athletes took time off to relax and youth athletes simply picked up another sport. But these days, that's not the case. The boom of sports specialization in recent years has also brought an uptick in sports performance training for athletes of all ages. It takes place at a point in time formerly known as the off-season.
5 seconds, open it up.
Brandon Vincent is on the wall again, preparing, working, training. In 3 weeks, he will be at his first NFL training camp for his hometown Chicago Bears.
Nothing was ever given to me. I always worked hard, and now all of a sudden, people always say, oh, I made it, but no, I made it to the training camp. I didn't make it for the roster. It was like every day, it's a battle. You never know. Like this business is not guaranteed. You know, I can get a call saying, hey, my service is not needed anymore, and that's it.
Because of that reality, the wall isn't Vincent's only enemy. There's also the cones, the weights, and his trainer.
Set, hut.
Vincent has spent the past 7 months in Naperville, training at Acceleration Sports Performance under the watchful eyes of former NFL player J.R. Nicholas.
I see myself in him, and I really think he's in a great position. You know, he's a guy that he pays attention to detail. He's maniacal in his decisions. He's precise in his movements. I really think that he's got a great chance to not only make the team, but to contribute on Sundays.
Nicholas and his staff at Acceleration oversee specialized training programs for more than 300 area athletes, from those on the elite level to those just starting out. For Nicholas, the key is combining a science backing and sport-specific movements with a dash of intensity.
Any athlete that trains hard, he'll probably get better, but we want to perfect that athlete, and you have to have science and you have to have progression to perfect that athlete.
In the last 6 years, you could compare Vincent's journey to athletic perfection to that of Odysseus. After breaking his leg in week 1 of his senior season at Glenbard West, colleges backed off. He ended up at Northern Illinois as a recruited walk-on, set to earn a scholarship the following spring. But Coach Joe Novak retired after a 2-10 season, and Vincent became a football vagabond once again. The following fall, the wideout led the College of DuPage offense, catching 60 balls for 618 yards and 7 touchdowns. After that, a scholarship to Illinois State and a position change to tight end followed. 3 years later, Vincent found himself at Acceleration, prepping for his pro day.
It was a whole different training up here. Being a college athlete, you train, at your bench, squat and all that, but you try to lift as heavy as possible. But here, it's, heavy as possible and moving as fast as possible. And ever since I've been doing that, I'm getting faster and stronger. I'm like, dang, if I'd have known this when I was in school, things could have been totally different.
Vincent dropped 0.4 of a second off his 40 time and now calls his weight a good 250. An invite to Bears rookie camp followed. After that, a 3-year contract.
That's my niche. That's what I do. I work hard, and I'm not going to let nobody outbeat me. And I'm going to get cut because of something. Okay, maybe it's numbers or something like that, but I'm not going to get cut because of I didn't work hard enough, or I didn't go that extra mile, or I didn't do this and that. No, I'm going to do whatever I need to take to make this team.
Vincent isn't the only one at Acceleration trying to earn a spot. Former Naperville Central tailback Matt Randolph was the man for the Red Hawks in 2011, racking up more than 2,000 yards of total offense and 28 touchdowns.
Matt Randolph carries the ball 6 yards good for the Naperville.
But now he finds himself working, getting his body into shape for his next challenge, cracking the rotation in a crowded backfield at North Central College. Seniors Jordan Tassio and Nick Kukoc are returning all-conference players, and sophomore Ryan Kent is in the mix as well.
College football, everyone out there is the best player on their high school team. So you know that you're going to have to, if you're a freshman, you got guys that are 4 years older than you, grown men that you're going to have to be fighting for playing time with.
I think it is a good situation for him at North Central because North Central has some great running backs that he can learn from. I think one of the best things for me being at Ohio State is I learned so much from those guys there. I learned a lot, and you learn more from players almost than you do coaches.
Randolph says he's learned quite a bit training with Nicholas, using different techniques and equipment to toughen up his body for the college game. The anticipation of that preparation, and in turn fall camp, had Randolph chomping at the bit immediately after his high school career came to a close.
College football, everyone out there is the best player on their high school team. So you know that you're going to have to, if you're a freshman, you got guys that are 4 years older than you, grown men that you're going to have to be fighting for playing time with. So you just gotta take it one step at a time.
1, 2, 3.
For Brian Schafering, that game is a job. The Cleveland Browns defensive lineman is entering his 5th NFL season and has trained with Nicholas since 2008, when the former NFL fullback was still transitioning.
Unfortunately, I was with JR before he started all this, and I was kind of like his guinea pig. So I got to do all the extra band stuff and the kettlebells and all the crazy things that JR can come up with. He liked to test them out on me when I was getting ready for the combine.
Brian and I probably did a little bit too much sometimes. I remember a couple times where we just couldn't even walk, had to crawl down the stairs, crawl to our cars. But you know, we had fun, and if you love what you do, you're going to see results from. So I think that's the thing that we bonded. We got beasted, as we call it, but we had a great time doing it.
These days, the defensive lineman and his trainer are working according to a science-based plan, just like every other athlete at Acceleration, even if Schafering questions the man in charge.
How about we say we were going to, but we don't?
This doesn't work like that. No way you got me reached. I'm dead serious. You win where?
Don't listen to him.
Anytime I do something, he's like, why are we doing that? You know, and we tell him the science backing behind it. So, okay, it may just seem that this is a tense exercise, we're fighting, we're wrestling, but I can tell you why exactly we're doing what we're doing and how it's going to progress and how it's going to help you out on Sundays.
Nicholas has noticed another progression of sorts over the past 5 years. With an increase in competition and pressure to obtain a college scholarship, more athletes are specializing in a single sport.
Do you think that's a good thing?
Not necessarily. I don't think it is. Just the whole aspect of how one-dimensional most sports are. You know, soccer has their dimensions, totally different from basketball, totally different from football. So if you're playing all those sports, you're working different muscles. You know, the hips are going to be worked a different way. So we see a lot of overuse injuries with those kids that specialize so early, especially later on.
Nicholas points to one of his earliest pupils as an example. Brian Schafering played 6 sports as a high school senior and has found himself thinking about sports specialization in his children.
I want my kids to experience an array of different sports. You know, like my son asked me the other day, because my daughter does ballet. He was like, Daddy, have you ever done ballet? I was like, yeah, I took 2 years of ballet in college. But I want my kids to be able to experience everything they can. Now, as they get a little older, if they say, okay, well, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I just want to do this, then that's fine, and that's what we'll focus on. But until they tell me that, whatever they want to do, they can do.
One expert says it depends on the athlete.
We've seen it go both ways. You know, some are, you know, well adapted and can handle those stresses, but others aren't capable of it and develop injuries, especially when you see a lot of one-sided sports like your throwing sports, baseball, softball, volleyball. You know, you develop a lot of imbalances if you're doing the same sport all year long.
However, Pilara also points out athletes with the right training instruction come in as Wildcats that are ahead of the curve.
There's some really good facilities out there that have really prepared these kids to come to this level, which is great. We love seeing those kids come in because we could pick up at a different level with them and maybe get away from the basics a little bit. But there's some athletes out there that didn't get the proper education or training, and they developed a lot of bad habits that take longer to break than teaching new habits. So it's a balance of both.
Football isn't all Nicholas and his staff do. One athlete on the Acceleration roster is powerful in her movements, but it's a graceful power Melinda Wang displays on the ice.
It's actually really difficult doing a 4-minute long program while smiling and making it look pretty.
Wang skates internationally for Taiwan and is ranked 89th in the world heading into the skating season. The Naperville North graduate provided a challenge for Nicholas, who is certified by the American Council on Exercise and USA Track and Field, but he hadn't trained a competitive skater.
When she came through our doors, I did a lot of YouTube watching. She's got a whole bunch of videos on YouTube. I compared her videos to the gold medalists and what did they do different than her. So we studied her. I noticed the top end. I mean, she's in the top 100 figure skating, but how do we make her number 1?
The plan includes work on an overspeed treadmill, running at 16 miles per hour on this day, and plenty of plyometrics for balance. Every rep is to help Wang get stronger on the ice, with an eye toward the 2014 Olympics.
I've been watching them on TV as a little kid, and now I'm competing with them, and just watching them in person, it's so inspirational that it kind of just drives me like, oh yeah, I want to be just like that person, so maybe I need to work a little harder.
As his first figure skating client, Wang forced Nicholas to work as well, something he says he's used to. The former NFL fullback tackles a daily schedule that includes 3 hours reading about new training practices and 2 hours of training himself, with the goal of finding the next step in athletic performance.
I do have that fear of if I do let off that somebody like me is going to do that. So that's why I never let off. I always train 2 hours a day. I always read 3 books, three hours a day, because I'm not going to let somebody outperform me in the training work.
Listening to Nicholas, you get the sense that much like Acceleration's commercial states,
off season? I don't even know what off season is.
There's no off season for a trainer either. Much like the athletes he trains, there's always the threat of competition looking for an opening. For Brian Schafering, it's hungry guys like Brandon Vincent and Matt Randolph hoping for a shot. For Melinda Wang, it's the jumps and spins in her programs that stand between her and an Olympic goal. For Nicholas, it's the threat of becoming irrelevant.
It's always just staying ahead of the curve, because as soon as something becomes what everybody's doing it, you're going to get average results. So you always have to do that next thing. There's always different avenues.
What that next thing is at this point remains to be seen. But one thing is sure, athletes and their trainers will be working around the clock to figure it out.
Dig it, dig it, dig it, open it up, open it up, open it up. Time.